Hello, everybody. No, go ahead. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. Today is Monday, June 2nd. It is 7:01 p.m. Call this meeting to order. Our first item is for public comment. Anybody from the public want to comment on anything? Tell us what a fabulous job Tristan Payne is doing. Anybody? On our consent agenda, we have one thing that I think we want to pull off and discuss, and that is item CII, second request for action letter from Block Island taxi owners Sue Ann Milliken and Kathy Payne. Would that be okay with folks? Yeah. Can I have a motion on the rest of the consent calendar, please? So moved. Second.
Oh, second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
So on this second request for action, Sue Ann and Kathy, do you want to speak? You're welcome to speak.
And I'm in a
Oh, of course. Sorry.
family relationship. And also from time to time, I operate one of these.
Okay, sure.
Do we want to talk about it or do we want to put it on an agenda?
Oh,
so
can
that
we
they're
not?
ready?
I'm easy.
I don't think, you guys weren't ready tonight. No.
Okay. So we'll put it on an agenda. I just want you guys to know we're like, what are we, like 9 days from the end of the legislative session? So it's something that over time. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll pull it off and we'll put it on. No,
No. Okay,
but
good.
the record will show how thoughtful you and Tristan were before we talked about it. Item 3, discuss and act on board commission and committees. I'm so glad you put acknowledge resignation of Fred Leader on the agenda. Fred has served the community and served on this commission for 14 years, and let that be a lesson to everybody who's watching the meeting about how important it is to participate in these kinds of things. God knows how many hours he spent on Conservation Commission matters. I don't know I've forgotten what we usually do, Millie, but I think a formal letter, I'd be happy to draft something, to him, just thanking him. And toward that end, we have 2 victims. You guys are eligible, you two. We have a Commission on Motor Vehicles for Hire spot. We have Sewer and Water District, and we have the aforementioned Conservation Commission opening. All really important to the direction, all really important to the environment of the island, and do very practical work, not a gigantic time commitment. So thank you. Millie, do I need to make a motion to reopen the public hearing, or may I merely segue into it?
Just continue.
Yeah, I think you can just,
Okay.
it's sitting open now.
Item
So-
4, we'll move into our previously open public hearing on an issue that has vexed Nancy Dodge and Keith Stover for weeks now. And I just want to start with a thank you to Jen Brady, who I think did a really terrific memo providing background here, and I'm sure you participated in that, Amy and whomever, but thank you, and the plan and Libra. I have a really basic question. My game when I was looking through this was find the verb in this sentence. So if you guys would look, it says 406G, residential structures meeting certain thresholds. G is the new, I guess we're switching to letters. And we'd be deleting the any elevated deck. I don't know if you can hear me, Peter. Can you?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Do you
G
do you
is a type. G is a typo. It should be F.
Okay, F. So we have any elevated deck, that sentence is crossed out. Then the next sentence goes, balconies, decks, and other similar flat unroofed features projecting from a residential structure at a deck floor height of more than 5 feet above ground level, period. There's no verb there.
Correct. I leave it to, others about whether a verb is needed. I think it could be an introductory statement, unless like a title to that subsection, but there could certainly be a verb connecting that to a second sentence. I think there's also some policy choices for the council to make that could add some language back into this section, and that might add in a verb.
So we can either, we're saying we could either put like a colon at the end of level and go on to the next section, or we could add back in, may not exceed a total of 1,200 square feet.
Right.
Contains the verb.
Right.
That was- I don't have any feeling one way or the other. I know it was originally in and then it came out. This is the section for large houses.
Right.
I don't know how anyone feels about limiting it to 1,200.
I mean,
square feet.
my opinion, having served on zoning for a while, is that if you're not clear about what the number is, I think you open the door. So I would be very comfortable adding back in may not exceed a total of 1,200 square feet. If that's consistent, Peter, with your thinking and contemplation around this issue.
Yes, I don't know if there's any members of the planning board there. There was some discussion at the February meeting, I think, is when we talked about this.
Yes. I think I was there.
Yeah, I listened to the meeting. There were actually two meetings on this, and sort of it went in and it came out,
Right.
and then it was in again by sort of mistake, and then they decided at the last minute to take it out. It didn't seem like it was a pivotal issue one way or the other. Is that fair to say, Peter?
I just think it was not unanimous. So I don't know who's I can't see the audience. But
Yeah, there's nobody here from planning.
Okay.
I have to say 1,200 square feet of decks is a lot of deck.
it is. It's bigger than some houses.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd make a motion to put back in that section may not exceed a total of 1,200 square feet.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Can I just ask a question, I've never been on zoning. So if someone wanted to have a house with more than 1,200 square feet of decking, is that a zoning appeal? Is that like
So they can do that as long as the house is not a large house.
okay,
This is just for
And-
the large
this is
house.
just the large.
And this is if it's a first floor deck, they can go more than 1,200 square feet. But once they're up above 5 feet off the ground, it's limited to 1,200 square feet.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
What was the 1,200 where did the 1,200 come from? Was it originally in there?
I think that came from the original large house ordinance. Yes.
Correct.
In 08, right? I think that's,
I believe so.
I'd just say, let's put it back in, and then, if it causes problems, it can always be changed down the road.
yeah, Peter, are you I don't mean you're comfortable with that motion, but here's the thing. I think 1,200 feet is a lot of feet. And I'm kind of, I would be okay with a smaller number than that, but I believe there might well be unintended consequences of that. So I don't want to do a ready, aim, fire on this, but
So-
it would be really helpful if you could relate to Amy. I'd love to get a sense of whether this is a real thing, and are we seeing people with applications butting up to 1,200 feet on decks, et cetera? I mean, I have a hard time imagining that, but I would have had a hard time imagining some of the big houses we see.
Amy and I met with Jen last week, and Jen conveyed that it has not been an issue historically. Applicants don't get close to it.
Are people comfortable with that 1,200?
I defer. You have a better.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to add back 1,200 square feet, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, indicate by saying no. Great. Do we need to change that G to F, or is that merely a typo that you can change?
I'll call it a typo that I can
Okay.
change.
Great.
And the word finished, do we have to make a motion to add it? I'm just picking up the one that's in red
Yeah,
on this.
the second page.
Right.
Do we need, in G, it's the fourth sentence, the deck floor is in red, and then in the bottom, a finished porch. I know they had talked about that. Do we have to make a motion to, because that seems to be a change from what was advertised?
I think that was advertised for this meeting. It may not have been advertised for December.
It's in this. It's in this advertisement.
It is in this advertised one?
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah, then we don't have to. So I'll make a motion to pass this ordinance change, and it's
With the second. I'm gonna support that motion. I'm also gonna say, usually I feel, my test for myself is, would I pass a quiz on this? And I still don't feel like I would pass a quiz, but I also trust the planning board. I
I was
trust Jen, I trust Peter, so I would agree. Any other discussion? We have a motion made and seconded to approve. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. It's your fault, Nancy. I think it.
I had nothing to do with porches.
Nancy Dodge made the motion.
I know.
Oh, goodness.
The Block
Right.
Island Times doesn't report in detail.
So we have to set a public hearing date. Millie, what day?
July 7th, please.
Can I have a motion to set a public hearing for July 7th on revision to section 9-86 procedure for moorings and anchorages and 9-107 procedures for Old Harbor Town Dock, please? Is there a
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next, we have Nettie Rose Cooley. Come aboard. Make sure that you press the button and your green light comes on. And these microphones.
Now it's on. It did look like it was on.
No,
Forgive me.
that didn't inspire confidence. And speak into the microphone, please, Nettie. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your commitment to the island. Really appreciate it. You're the anchor at an institution that is, really important to our population. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for me to start or?
Can you just give us a feeling of, you've been there for a little bit of time now, where things are? I think our greatest concern is what's happening with the doctor search, but you're here, so how do you feel as the CEO after a couple of weeks on the job?
So I think today is week 9. I'm not counting, but I think today is week 9. Very fortunate that I have been given this opportunity, not only to be the CEO of the medical center, but also to be here on Block Island and work with the board as well as all of you, and to really support the community. There's been a lot of work looking at the process flow of the health center. We have the search firm still looking for a CMO. While we're doing that, I am actively reviewing the budget as well as what the community needs going forward. With a focus always on urgent care, we are also continuing to focus on primary care for the community, and we're making sure that we are providing preventative care and screenings. So with that being said, I am reviewing really what needs the community will have and how we will fulfill that with a new provider. We have not had any new candidates, though. We had recently had a candidate we thought would accept the offer, and they found a different opportunity. So
Gotcha.
So we have some good staff up there, fortunately.
we do.
What is, for the summer, what's the plan so people can feel, I know we had spoken the other day and I left with some comfort, but for the public, what's the plan in the interim as we're looking, for a doctor up there with the current people we have? And you had mentioned to me about some of the staff for the summer. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we currently have 2 advanced practitioners. We also have great nursing staff there. We have a robust resident program and med student program. And on top of that, we have some medical assistants. One is a full-time returning medical assistant. The other is a student who is doing their 80 hours for certification and also working at the front desk to relieve phone volume. So when patients do call in, there's somebody there to be able to answer the phone more readily and get them scheduled to be seen. I have also been approached by 2 individuals that are interested in working summer hours as an advanced practitioner. I'm waiting for a resume from one, and I'll be interviewing them to see if it will fit for the summer hours and work with us to alleviate some of the pressure for the clinic.
So is it your intention then to, if need be, to house people in the doctor's house in the summertime?
They're actually with housing, these 2 APRNs. I know, it's very uncommon. It's like a unicorn.
You're comfortable with the staff you have coming into the summer? I mean, particularly with the urgent care is probably what lays heavy on most of our minds. You're comfortable with the staff we have until you can get that fulfilled?
I am. The staff that we have, as well as the robust resident and med student program, I'm very comfortable that we'll be able to handle the influx of urgent care volume that we'll see in the summer.
And I know, I mean, you and I have met before too, and there's a certain level of comfort in the fact that Nettie has been on island for many years as a familiarity, and that, that counts for a great deal a
Thank
lot
you.
of times. So
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nettie. Do you like to be called Nettie or Nettie Rose?
It's 2 caps, no gap. So
All right.
and Rose.
Okay.
2 caps.
All right.
Push together.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Item 7, discuss and act on an appeal of administrative denial of application for a special event license of Madeline Murphy. What is going on here? Oh, the pushback is overwhelming here. Evan, you can't just sit there.
Yeah. I submitted the application a few days late because I didn't know that we had to, there was a misunderstanding.
You don't,
Yeah.
we get it. Can I have a motion to, what do we have to say?
Absolutely.
To grant this appeal?
To grant the appeal, I'll make a motion to grant the appeal for the special event license for Maddie Murphy and even
Thank
for your
you.
wedding on June 14th.
Is there a second? Is there extensive discussion on this?
Many seconds.
I just wish you guys well. I think you guys are a delight and just appreciate what you're doing on the island, both
Yeah.
of you. I know I've expressed that to you before, but always thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You didn't even get any no votes.
Thank you.
Thank you so
We appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, item 8, discuss an act on a request from New Shoreham Sewer Commission to add Plat 10 Lot 6 to the New Shoreham Sewer District.
I'll make,
Yep.
oh, I was gonna say, I'll make a motion. That's the property, is it adjacent to David Russo's or is it?
It is David Bruce's.
It is David Russo's.
Yep, adjacent to the medical center.
Yeah,
And it is in the water district.
yeah.
It's very straightforward.
Okay. Can I have a motion to grant the request to add Plat 10 Lot 6 to the New Shoreham Sewer District?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 9, discuss an act on a proclamation for the Block Island School class of 2025. I must admit that I texted Millie and Amy about this because I had the calendar sort of caught up with me. And I think this is something that the town council traditionally does. I know we did it. We've done it for the last few years anyway. But Millie and I have put together this template draft over the last couple of years, and I don't know if anybody has any questions about it.
Well, thank you for putting it together.
Yeah.
Problem. Can I have a motion to approve this resolution, this proclamation, excuse me?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Update on Thomas property.
We gotta slow this down a little.
Yeah.
Down there.
But really, this should not take too long, but there are 3 elements that I want to touch on. It's the construction, occupancy, and then the consent order. So starting with construction, bad news first, we are no longer looking at June occupancy. We're hesitant at the moment to put an exact date on what we think occupancy will be. With all hands on deck, if you had everyone there today, we're really only a few weeks away from all the work being completed. The challenge, especially this time of year, as many of you know, is getting people to give their full attention to wrapping up the job, since most of the other jobs on the island are also trying to wrap up. And getting those people there in the right sequence as well. So that's been our ongoing challenge. The electrician was on site today, and there was a representation of possibly completing the main power service by the end of the week, which is sort of the last major milestone that we have. That would leave only a few electrical items outstanding and is one of the few contractual elements that we can hang a hat on, is that main electrical service. Because after that, we turn back to Connecticut Valley and their responsibilities in wrapping up. That includes stairs, flooring, a small amount of plastering and shingling, and then punch list items. So there's not a lot of work to do. It's just a matter of getting it done.
So I don't want to embarrass anybody, but has it been largely the electrical not happening that has?
That, I would say, has been
Has
a
been-
major delay
Gotcha.
over the late winter, spring.
Yes.
Now, that said, some of the other work that could have been done concurrently once the weather improved has not been done.
Right.
Again, it wasn't contractually obligated until the power service is completed.
I see. Gotcha.
They could have if they wanted, once, you know, they
Right.
brought in flooring or stairs, but
But by a close read of the contract, it was the completion of that power.
the completion of
that-
the. of
That
the-
kicked in the
kicks in the
contractual
cost,
obligation.
The
Gotcha.
obligations on Connecticut Valley's
see.
part. And that's,
Hang on, so you're saying without the power, Connecticut Valley didn't have to finish shingling the building? Because there's a side of that building that's been exposed. There is zero excuse for that. I mean, the weather, I think you know the area I'm talking about.
Yep.
There's flashing, the plywood has been exposed. It's not even the tie bar is blown off it. I don't know if water's getting down behind on where the flashing is up against the building.
they've been checking it pretty aggressively to make sure there hasn't been an issue. But they're certainly aware of it, Connecticut Valley, and yes, it is their obligation.
But is their obligation not to have it done now because of the power or?
It is not specified in the timeline when that needs to be done, except at the end or by the end.
Well, that building needs to be made watertight and like as soon as possible.
Yes, like I said, at this point, there's no reason the rest of that, the rest of all the work can't be completed. It's just a matter of getting everybody on site, and they are on island. So.
I just find it hard to believe. And this has been, you came in when this was going on, but when you take a walk up at that property for a prefab house, there is no excuse. And whether, you know, and these contracts are done before you were there wasn't penalties for time and so forth.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you, Keith, if this was my house, I'd fire the contractor. I mean, I would not have, I mean, there's already been mold remediation. And I'm real concerned about that side of the building where that water is coming down on it. And like I said, not that they even have to shingle it. If they were to put ice and water or have it covered over, it would mitigate any, at least the water damage that could happen from there. So
Yeah.
I'm real disappointed in Connecticut Valley if that's the case.
I think it is very fair to say that the town staff has learned a lot of lessons about how we would approach a project like this going forward, which is not to replicate where we are today.
And I would have serious reservations on what I have with us doing any project without there being some serious check and balances in, because
Yeah.
I'm not impressed with what we have so far.
And was there any sort of a project manager delegated from the town staff to oversee this?
But Tom has been our project manager.
See, Amy, on the second floor, I had mentioned to before
Yep.
and about the heat in the front building. Is there heat?
There is, yes.
Okay, and what heat is that?
I can't go into.
Because according to the plumber that's doing work in there, he said on the design, there's no duct vent to go up to the second floor. The only way you could do heat on the second floor is either by putting another heating system in the attic, or if you would use the mini splits. But a mini split would do a bedroom. It's not going to do a bathroom also with it. So I'm just curious as to whether or not, I mean, at the end of the day, if there are mistakes, we need to learn from this so it don't happen again.
Yeah.
What was this was designed without there being heat on the second floor, or was it out of the gate how it was? Because it doesn't make any sense that you have a full furnace, 2 furnaces in the bottom of the building without providing heat on that service up to the second floor.
So my understanding is that there is heat on the second floor, whether that is only provided through the mini splits and therefore doesn't apply to the bathroom. I'll have to check on that and get back to you.
Which would be extremely, well, if you could check on it, it'd be great, because that's not the way in a new house that you do to have a mini split as your primary heat on a second floor when it can only do 1 room and not go down the hall, particularly when you have a heating system in the basement with a simple duct vent would provide, it's big enough to provide heat to the second floor. So thank you.
And when you say that they've been checking in terms of any water damage, who exactly, is that Connecticut Valley or is that Tom? Or-
That's Tom and Mike are up there fairly regularly.
Even if we have to get our own people up there to put some tie power, we should do something.
I have a question now that Bill's brought up the water damage, because I'm not able to find it in my photos right now, but with the previous town manager, I did send her photos of water damage within the house. So that would have been well over a year ago. So I'm just curious if this current water situation would be the same situation that existed back then, and if so, are we going to run into a mold issue? That's a long time to be having.
You're talking about 2 separate buildings. He's referring
Right.
to the east building, the one you're referring to.
The front building.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the
I
back
was on the
building?
back, the one in the front, I think they did
Yeah.
remediation to it. and
Okay.
Taking care of.
That's
the one-
fine then. That's
You're
fine. If we're talking about 2 separate things, that's.
referring to where there's not currently shingling.
Correct. And I don't know that there is water intrusion.
I-
Okay. So
My
I'm not
understanding is
saying
there
it's
is
risk,
not.
But
water.
the fact is,
Yes.
it is absolutely unacceptable. It's not covered up,
Yeah.
so.
Is it
Have we taken possession of it from Connecticut Valley, or are they still more or less the GC?
They are still the GC, but from a contractual standpoint, the majority of the milestone is on delivery, not all the work that needs to be done subsequent to delivery.
All the subs.
All the slabs are owned by the town. That's electrical, plumbing, HVAC.
So we took possession of 2 buildings that were not watertight.
And well, that's where I say we own those subs. There's other work, finished work still needs to be done, like flooring, stairs, carpentry, plastering, shingling. Those are the responsibility of Connecticut Valley.
I'm just wondering how Valley on heating and how they spec the house in New England or coming to Block Island without putting heat on the second floor. Was that a
I
plan review?
will have to get back to you on that.
It's only the front building, it's not the back.
We'll see.
Is it helpful to sort of sum up, to say, like, with Connecticut Valley, the council is really pretty angry about this. I was about to use the P word.
I think
that would have been inappropriate.
we're already there in the staff expressing themselves.
Yes.
And I think the more that we are conveying that and the umbrella gets bigger and the number of people who are frustrated and upset and want to have those occupied.
I think you've witnessed here that
Yes.
that everybody at this table is pretty frustrated. Frustrated is almost too soft a word, I think, from our perspective. This is, it would sadden me to take something that ought to be a moment of celebration and turn it into, a slog that's contentious. I see Connecticut Valley trucks around the island all the time. I know what projects they're working on because I've seen them. And one would think that even just for the good of the order, finishing housing that's supposed to affordably house police officers, town employees might be a little bit more of a priority for them. Anyway.
Plus, Frank DBH's big building up next to the Barrington went up and is done and is ready for occupancy.
The one by Lewis Farm Road.
The
That thing
one by
went up
Lew-
in about 4 hours.
Yeah, that's 3 months in that house. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say that like the domino effect on this is that we have town employees
Yeah.
who are unhomed for the summer. And that, my son recently helped move a teacher into the most disgusting summer accommodations I've ever heard of. Disgusting. Worms crawling across the floor. There's no place else
Yeah.
to live.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that wouldn't be the case if we could open up our employee housing.
Yeah.
And, the people renting accommodations like that should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
Well, by the same token, Connecticut Valley should be ashamed of themselves,
I agree.
doing nothing for their reputation.
And I think what surprised me, Connecticut Valley in general has done a lot of houses out here, and we've heard good things from that end of it. So I think that's why I don't understand why there is this disconnect on this one. Because,
I don't know.
I haven't heard this.
They are also doing a lot of projects on the island.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Soon. Soon we'll be in.
Well, Amy, you sure slowed this meeting.
So they're doing a lot of projects on the island. Are there other customers as dissatisfied as we are, or
I can't
are
speak
we,
to that.
are
I'm
we
focused
the
on ours.
sacrificial lamb so that everybody else can be happy? We're unhappy. Is that how it's working?
I don't necessarily think that is the case. It may be, again, we have some obligation on the parts of our subs as well in terms of managing that timeline. So it's been a sequencing challenge. We're
But-
just about there on the electrical, which puts it back into their court.
But there was a report months ago that Connecticut Valley, had 2 or 3 projects that they were busy shingling and they were going to be done shortly and then they get right to us and
Yes.
that never
Yeah.
happened.
Right.
And that's not our sub, that's them.
Yes.
So there's no excuse for that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I guess we've made clear what.
No, let's stay with Thomas.
Yeah, I'm not trying to joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. very
And
frustrating.
sort of continue to prepare on our end in terms of getting people in there as soon as they're ready.
Right.
And so we have solicited all of the New Shoreham Police Department and have determined that one may be interested depending on the timing of completion. So that means there'll be at least 3 units available to start to work through the rest of the lottery system. That also means, and we'll come back to this topic in a minute, that we can proceed without resolution to the 2 versus 4 restriction question, since we have not more than 1 officer interested. We'll
Gotcha.
hold this up in any way.
Right, yep.
Good.
Have you started taking applications or is that not started yet?
That hasn't started yet. Let's turn to the manager's house for a minute because we will probably start tomorrow or the next day. Solicitation to the town entities that do qualify under that policy to see if there is interest in filling that house. We did adopt that policy. If there is interest, we'll bring that back to the council for decision making. If there is not interest at that first tier, then we'll move down to the second tier and see what interest there is there.
Great.
So we'll continue to move down that path on the manager's house. We could reasonably see a July 1 occupancy over there.
And that's gonna be, we had talked before, that'll be a year lease on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have not started on, besides the police officers, on the other Thomas units. In order to not get people's hopes up, I'd like to be a little bit closer to completion before we do that. But we're going to continue to work through the consent order issue and hopefully finalize those policies at the same time.
And
So how are you gonna get the word out to? Is that just gonna go out through department heads or how's that gonna work?
To who?
advertising that we have the housing
The manager's
and the
house or the
application
Thomas?
process for the Thomas.
So Thomas has an explicit process. I think it's 3 weeks of public notice, letting people know that applications are being accepted in the town hall. And that's at all levels, whether it's a town employee or if we're moving down to island residents. And then that advertisement includes where to submit your application and what the criteria is. So that is a pretty widely advertised process by design.
Okay.
So that will mean Block Island Times, bulletin board, public postings, things like that.
But until the consent is worked out, we're gonna do the 1 year on all of them, correct? If it's
Yeah.
not a police officer,
Yes,
right? And then if that changes, we can adjust after.
right. And so then I know that James has had some ongoing conversations with the Attorney General's office. Nick, I don't know if you're prepared to speak to that or not.
Just to the extent that I know those conversations are ongoing as recent as today. So he's working on it, certainly,
Thank you, Nick.
of course.
And just keep in mind that since if you're going to get one of those, you're going to have to furnish it too. We can proceed and actually have candidates ready. Even if we run into still problems with getting the final sign off on the houses.
Yeah, I'd like to narrow it down. I'd like to know if we're talking about July or September. Because I think that makes a big difference in people's current lives.
Mm.
But yeah, I agree in not waiting too long.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that we have to miss the whole summer because that's a tight time frame for anyone who's been renting in the winter and is getting booted out.
So Amy, you had said there's a 3-week advertising, correct?
Yeah.
Is that with each group? Or is that, so in other words, I was wondering, can it be done, really can't be done concurrent, can it? I was just saying, because if it goes 3 weeks and there isn't anyone, then there's
yeah,
another 3
interesting,
weeks,
yeah,
so then we end
yeah.
up being a month.
I think we left room that it could be done concurrently.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, you probably have a good bead, what kind of interest you're gonna get on it. I just hate to see it sit longer than it had to if possible.
Bear with me just a minute. So we didn't specify, which would allow us to run
Good.
concurrent advertising. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
so. Other questions on any of those three elements?
Anybody? I don't.
Have you had any voice interest, other employees outside of the police department on the units or?
I have definitely had interest, not directly from town employees, a lot of
Sure.
school employees. Definitely. Doesn't mean they're not out there, but.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great. Item 11, items for future agendas. What's that? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Can I, wait. The, our next meeting is the 18th. Yeah, and I had asked Amy, I have, the whole family here that week.
Oh,
especially in
yeah,
California.
do you need to reschedule?
So I was thinking, could we do it the Tuesday before, or could we do it the Monday after? Because we have nothing that whole last week of June. But whatever,
For me, I'm happy to move it. I think, you know, whatever you need. What?
You're moving it in, that'd be moving it into race week, that's the.
So I would vote for before, because similarly, I have daughter, son-in-law, grandson coming from Australia that week. So, no, I mean, the week after. So if I could have a free Monday night, that'd be great.
so
Like
like,
Susan's foot reached all the way under. Her feet are 40 feet long.
Do we have any?
Tuesday, well, it's the 17th, right?
Tuesday's the
Tuesday,
17th.
The 17th, yeah.
Yeah, 17th, so we would have one on the 17th and one on the 18th?
No, we cancel the 18th.
Cancel the 18th,
Can't,
because is that okay with you? You're not gonna have to travel to pick people up or do anything
No,
like that?
they're all, California will be here
Okay.
that Monday. But that's the meeting where we do all the final financial too, so it's not a meeting that I
Yes,
want to
right,
miss.
yeah.
You know, but I appreciate
Yeah,
anybody.
of course.
Yeah, we do have public hearings scheduled that night that have been advertised on the 18th. We have an outdoor entertainment license for Sadie Flateman. And that is the only item that we have, but we do have a advertised and scheduled public hearing.
Well, I can come on the 18th and we can have a skeleton crew for a public hearing. But do the bulk of the business the night before? Does that work, Millie, or?
On the 17th is okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think it sounds like it's fine. Laura was just checking the schedule to make sure.
Just so we don't
didn't
screw up
have a
the
conflict.
advertising and the timeline? Does that work for people? Can we get 3 people here that, so? So we're talking about doing the 17th, which is the substantive sort of post-financial town meeting stuff we have to do for the budget. But then we have one item that's been advertised for a public hearing on that date. And if we cancel that, that's a pain in the neck. So if we can have 3, yeah, so that's great.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
17th and the.
Yes. But we have commitments from 3 people to be here for the public hearing on the 18th. So if you're doing race week stuff or whatever, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Nice. It's take with you, Dodge. I don't know.